we are here. It's Friday, and we have some sublimation tips for you. So I'm Danielle.
I'm Jessica.
I'm Bianca.
And I'm Josie.
So we have a full house here. Hopefully we have a full house out there because sublimation is tricky. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. You don't quite know why, but we're here to kind of figure certain things out with you and give you some guidance, because it's not an impossible thing to do, sublimation. It's quite easy once you get the hang of it.
Hey,
so,
Butch.
We're good?
Yeah, we're good.
All right. So we actually got an email in this morning from a customer saying that when she printed her mugs and put them in the dishwasher, all the ink kind of bled and smeared. And this has been a common and kind of a recurring question. So we have done this test to figure out what the settings were, why it happened. We do like to recreate exactly what you guys experience and to see how to fix it. So there are a couple tips with sublimation. When you're printing sublimation, especially on a mug, you want to make sure that your paper and tape are firmly pressed against your mug surface. So that way there's no gap or kind of area where the ink can escape. Because when you do get your heat up to that 400 degrees, any kind of bubble, gap, or opening, that ink releases as a gas from the paper. And if it finds another way out rather than onto the substrate, it's going to go there. And that's where you get that gassing or ghosting. So that's one tip. Make sure your tape is firm on the paper and then on the substrate. No gaps, no areas for that ink to go. The next thing is make sure when you are setting up your print, when you're in your print menu, make sure to select the right substrate that you're printing on. If you're printing on fabric, select fabric. If you're printing on ceramic, use the ceramic print code. Bianca, what's it called?
Glass and ceramic.
But was it substrate?
It was substrate, yeah.
Okay, so when you're in your Sawgrass Virtuoso, the VPM, they have a topic for substrate, and then it gives you menu options. So when you're printing on a mug, these are ceramic, so select the ceramic one, and so on. There's hardboard, there's unisub, so definitely pick what you're doing. So that was this one. If you want to zoom in here, Bianca. So this one was printed with just a standard setting. I didn't change it. I didn't mark it to ceramic. I just printed it. It looked amazing when it was printed, but when I went to put it in the dishwasher and turn it upside down as you do in a dishwasher, see how the ink just kind of ran. So when I pulled it out of the dishwasher, that's what I got, which is what most of our customers do experience, this running, this weird kind of ink spread. These mugs can totally be put in the dishwasher, but if you don't have it on the right setting, then that's what you're gonna get. Now this one we fixed. This is on the right setting. This is the ceramic glass substrate setting in the VPM and the Virtuoso Print Manager. And this is beautiful. No running, even if I flip it over, you don't see any kind of running like you do here. So that is something so important. And these have been washed numerous times because these are my coffee mugs in the morning in the dishwasher. And you could just totally see the difference. Even you can see the coloring. I don't know if you can, can you pull the coloring up? Like this is...
It just looks darker, like the whole mug looks darker.
Yeah, this started getting lighter the more I washed it. The black, it started to get more, I don't know, like a gray, I guess. More purplish maybe. But this one kept its true black, deep text. And another trick that we tell customers is, so after I printed this, I take it out of my mug press, I unwrap my paper, and then I'm gonna dip this mug into warm water. Without dipping it in warm water, my ink is able to move wherever it wants. See my gassing? all over. This definitely gassed out and bled. So this is a mug non-dipped and also using the non-ceramic setting. So this one was a doozy.
Double negative, like Jazzy tells me when I talk. Butch said for a tip for Epson printers, if you're doing fabrics, to check high speed. If you're doing hard objects, to uncheck high speed. See, we did these with the Sublimation Virtuoso SG400, but Butch, he's a very, very loyal customer of ours. Been in business for a very long time. So he's given the tips to the Epson printers.
Thank you, Butch. We appreciate that. And there are so many different tips and tricks out there on the market. Anybody that works with sublimation, they kind of find their own methods to do certain things.
Like the taping. Like Danielle has a method where,
she's breaking my mugs.
Well, good thing it's already a fail.
I still use
But Danielle does like a little roll trick she does when she's taping. But I don't do that. But when we had to do mugs for a conference one time, we were all in here like, but that is a way to kind of, it's like when you squeegee your screen protector onto a phone case. It's just getting those extra air bubbles out. So you can even try doing that or watch other people's YouTube videos and then you'll see how many different tricks. But it's what you feel comfortable doing and what you test and realize worked. And what we tell customers a lot when they mess up a mug, they'll go get a brand new mug to try again something else and mess up another mug. Either send us an email or test the bad mug again. Because you can test on the same mug. Just make the design to be somewhere else. Yeah. And then you can get a different result.
And this one, like especially with this one, with the not correct setting, like not switching over to ceramic, it looked just like this when it was printed and it looked amazing. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, oh, well, this isn't gonna do it. Like I need it to spread and bleed and gas out for the customer. Like I need to figure out how it went wrong. And then as soon as I put it in the dishwasher and I took it out, I was like, oh, that's how it went wrong. So there's definitely things, once you realize your error, it's very easy to figure out how to fix it because there's certain avenues that you need to double check for your settings to make sure they're working just right. And that's what's going to get you to get a good sublimation print all the time.
Jacqueline said we have 2 size transfer papers for mugs. Which one should I purchase for the ceramic 11 ounces?
The smaller one.
I think it's like 3
3/4, I
think so.
But it also depends on whether you want a bleed or not. So if I'm going to say it now, I don't use mug paper. I print 2 up on.
Shame.
I know. Oh gosh. I print 2 up on it. Oh gosh, I just gave my dirty secret now. I print 2 up on 8.5 by 11 this way. And I cut them. And I can then put it however I want to put it. If it's a full bleed or if I need it to be, up higher or lower, there's a little bit more flexibility for me. And I like to cover my mug with the paper completely. I don't like my paper to end on my mug right here. Because if my mug press is dirty or my nonstick sheet is dirty, this excess is going to get dirty. So if my whole paper is covering my mug, then I'm sure I'm going to get a nice clean mug area where the design is not. But if you're doing that 11 ounce and you don't want to bleed, then the smaller paper is going to be fine. If you're doing the 11 ounce and you do want the bleed, use one of the larger papers. So that way you can get top to bottom coverage.
See, why do the mugs have a hard time with solids at the bottom of the mug?
Solid images at the bottom is probably because it needs more time, more pressure, or that your mug press is just not reaching that very edge. So if you find that right around here that it gets like lighter, or when you peel it off, your paper has more ink on it than your mug, then try one of those things. Increase the pressure, maneuver it within your mug press so that you're directly centered, or tighten your paper on your mug. Any other questions? I feel like there's so many.
Well, it's like Butch was jumping in.
Oh, okay.
Jacqueline said, thank you for all the great tips. Butch said too much paper overhang at the bottom causes that. But she said it's reaching the edge. So it's two things that can happen. Either you're going too far over the edge. Well, really three things. Too far over the edge, leaving too much of like loose paper where air can be introduced. Or with the mug element. As Danielle was mentioning, you want to kind of look and make sure your mug is lined up with that element. Because if it's past the element a little bit, then that's not getting the pressure.
All right.
So she had mugs cracking. The water has to be warm.
Yes, definitely warm water. Cold water, you'll hear that crackle sound. That's horrible.
That is the worst sound ever.
Yes, you just hear it just right up to the mug. So definitely make sure that you're dipping in warm water after you finish.
And like I said, you can test on a bad mug. So if you do have a bad mug around that has some area on the bottom, or even the one that is messed up, because you can tighten it and it'll fill in those areas. Just do it in a different color. Barbara says, I'm worried. I made 20 mugs for my son's business. I let them cool after 400 degrees. Then I washed them with warm water and soap, dried and packaged them. Do you think they will run? Because I made him pay me.
If you didn't change the ceramic to the ceramic setting, just have them hand wash it.
Yeah.
And then you'll be fine. But that ceramic setting in the dishwasher, that's your tip, I guess. Like, that's where you're going to get a perfectly fine mug all the time. But if you stayed with like, oh yeah, just print and never really took note of that substrate, then you just want to give them a little note to hand wash.
And a lot of custom people who do mugs always say hand wash only. Yes. So like, it's not going to be like weird. So I think you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Summer says, I get ghosting at the edge of the paper by the handle. It's never a solid line right at the end. What can I do? This is going to answer that question as well.
Come in again.
You want to make sure, so this is a 15-ounce mug in our standard heating element. You want to make sure that you are at least a finger width away. That's the worst way to describe it.
And I wouldn't recommend doing this while it's hot.
This is
just kind of eyeball it.
This is not plugged in, so you're fine. A finger width away from the end. Oh, let me put it this way.
There you go.
So that way your print finishes well before the heating element. When you're very close to the heating element, this part does not have nearly the amount of heat required, like this very itty bitty edge. Not as much heat here that it does here. So adjusting your print so that it doesn't go all the way to the end is going to help you. So finger width or half an inch is probably, if you want to be technical about it, that's what's going to prevent your ghosting. So design your image so that you are ending well before the handle and well before where your heating element ends. And also, I just wanted to go back to the other person's question. See how tight this is? Like, if we go, there's not much space here, and there's really not much space here to where the 15-ounce kind of goes into the heating element. Well, same rules apply for this part of the heating element as this part. If your design is not reaching the very end of your 15-ounce mug, it could be what Butch mentioned, that your paper's a little bit too long. It could also be that you just need to maneuver your print maybe halfway through, or give it a little bit more time, scoot it up on the next, as you're printing. So that way it has enough time to press this bottom with the amount of time and pressure that it's required.
And also, I want to mention, these are 15-ounce mugs that we're demonstrating here on the live today.
Yeah.
So the 11-ounce mugs, you're going to have a little bit more leeway. Like, you shouldn't have any type of issue. It's just the 15-ounce that get a little tighter. Danielle needs a lot of coffee in the morning.
I do. Who doesn't?
She drinks all 3 cups.
She might not be wrong.
Some days.
Okay, Alyssa, that's a good question to ask, because we have a lot of customers who call in and think their mug press is broken, think the printer is broken. They don't know why the image isn't coming up because they went to the dollar store and bought a mug. So it does not have that polymer coating. We do not sell it, but there is a polymer coating on the market. But when you come to Shortcuts, there's a lot of risk involved. So we did test that here, and there's a reason we don't sell it. So it's all manual. So if you don't dilute it the correct how can I put it? The correct amount of ratios.
There you
Yes.
go. I was gonna
So if
say
you don't do the
variables,
correct
but that's close
ratios
enough.
I
and
was
variables,
lost.
then it's
Yeah.
gonna get diluted too much or too little bit to be strong of a chemical. And also when you're putting those strokes on, it's just like painting a house, or for the ladies, painting your nails. If you don't get that even coat, the next coat on top is going to be affected by that bottom coat, and your picture will be affected by that. So if there's bubbles, they will show.
Or even streaks.
If it's streaks,
Like,
oh.
they're going to show. So yes, there is a chemical out there. No, we do not sell it, and no, we do not recommend it.
And to kind of jump in with that, it also then has to be cured properly. So it's not just, oh, let's just hope and wait it dries. You have to cure it in an oven, or we used a 3D vacuum press. And if that curing is not done properly, then you're also not going to get the right results. So all the stuff that Jeff said, and plus curing. So it's a lot of factors that could go a little awry.
Yeah, and it's the same with the spray too, because everything has to be even. So that's why we just sell our products already coated, because we're not trying to play around with that in-house.
Take that variable out of it.
Yeah.
Like if you're struggling with mugs or sublimation or application, go with what's already coated out on the industry, that this is what they do. There are companies that coat products for sublimation, and that's what they're best at. Have them stick with that instead of you adding in that variable. I just wanted to show you, this is the 11-ounce mug in our heating element. So you have a lot more space than obviously the 15-ounce mug. So you're not going to have that issue towards the bottom edge nearly as much as you could have with the 15-ounce. And it's also a much smaller mug. I mean,
Yeah.
if you're going for your cup of coffee in the morning, which one would you pick?
And that's it.
All right. All right, so just to kind of recap, make sure that your tape and paper are firmly on your substrate before heat pressing. Make sure to dip your mug in your warm water after it is done. And make sure before you even print that you are adjusting your substrate setting in your print menu to be ceramic or glass. That's the substrate code in there. And, definitely look through all Butch's comments as well for the Epson Sublimation Printer. We're all here to help. So, take note as what other people comment, because everybody's been doing it for a certain amount of time and know the tips and tricks that they use that they like. So, if you have any suggestions, post them in the video, help other people out. If you have questions of your own and it's just not quite working, send us an email, service@proworldink.com, and we will definitely be able to help you out and figure it out with you. We're good? Now that I just did that whole little spiel, then we get some comments sometimes.
Nathan's just putting links.
Yeah, that's it.
Look about it.
Okay. All right, well, thank you all for watching. And again, if you have questions, let us know. We're here to help. Service@proworldink.com, and we will see you next week. Bye.